While digging a tubewell in the Mohangarh area of Jaisalmer on December 28, water suddenly gushed out with high pressure upon reaching a depth of approximately 850 feet. Within an hour, the flow became so strong that a truck and the drilling machine got stuck, and around 25 bighas of nearby land were flooded. Then, just as suddenly, the water stopped flowing on its own by the night of December 29th. Officials have called this a geological phenomenon known as artesian wells. To help us understand what happened and talk about artesian wells, we have with us Dr. HSM Prakash, a retired Deputy Director General from the Geological Survey of India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us first of all. And of course, the first thing that we want to understand is how did that water just gush out of a field in Jaisalmer out of nowhere? Like just when the workers were working to dig the bore well and suddenly water just came in. How did that phenomena happen? What is the science behind it?
Actually, in Jaisalmer, as you know, it's a desert area, and desert area nearly 50 to 60 or 70 meter sand cover is there, and sand doesn't retain water. Water gets filtered or infiltrated, and then it goes to the deeper layers. So, in deeper layers, if there's a hard rock below the sand layer, there will be water storage between the hard rock and the sand layer. Suppose there are some porous rocks below the sand layer, water further goes down and it gets stored in deeper layers. Deeper layers could be made up of igneous rocks or metamorphic rocks or sedimentary rocks. So in that Jaisalmer area, what is below sand layer under the desert, it's difficult to say, but here and there some sedimentary rocks are found, layered rocks, what we call. We have got chemical precipitates in Jaisalmer area, then Bikaner, Sri Ganganagar, and such areas. So there could be some hard crystalline rocks like granites and gneisses, and metamorphic rocks like limestones, or what we call marbles or dolomites or things like that. So there the geology below sand layer is not clear. After drilling to 700 feet, what kind of rock they encountered is not clear. So one account, somebody had explained that there could be some chemical precipitates like gypsum or halite or sylvite, because it was a sea, part of a sea once upon a time. And when that sea dried up, evaporated, all the chemical precipitation in the water got precipitated in the form of thick halite beds. Halite is NaCl, sodium salt, common salt. And then sylvite is KCl, potassium chloride. Then gypsum, calcium phosphate. Then there could be phosphorite layer or even some other salts like salts of, say, magnesium, salts of, say, iron, like that. So it's not very clear what type of rock sequence is there. But assuming that these evaporates are there, when the layer is punctured or a deep hole is made, the water below tries to come up all of a sudden. It may come up to middle level or top level, or it may flow out if it's a normal storage. If there is excess storage, if a lot of water is under pressure, pressure means suppose the rock layers that I mentioned, one of the layers is made up of hard, massive, impervious, unfractured rock. So then that becomes a barrier for the water to rise. So as more and more water is added to the underground storage, what we call aquifer, so there will be a lot of water below that hard layer. So when the hard layer is punctured, water gushes out all of a sudden. Okay, so like that. So there, irrespective of the geology, unknown rock layers below, water has gushed out, and after gushing out, the top layer is made of sand. So water has engulfed the sand, and it has gone down. As a result of which there is a depression formed. So a lot of water came up and got collected in the depression. So, and it was there for 2 days, and after 2 days, the water flow stopped. So that is the condition. It has happened there. It can happen anywhere else. So in Karnataka, in several places, in Chalakere area, Shumaga, Mysore district, Mandya district, many times we have seen water rising to a height of 50 feet or 100 feet even sometimes. So when the artesian conditions are disturbed or punctured, water comes out like a spring and starts springing upwards. Okay, so like a fountain.
Yeah.
So this is very common. This happen where two types of rocks are there. Suppose there are igneous rocks. Above that, there are some sedimentary rocks, hard rocks. So they stop the water flow from rising further. So like that, two discordant rock types, whenever they are at an angle to each other, it can happen. Artesian conditions is a common thing in certain areas.
So
Yeah.
basically, when there are two rocks, and if the hole is digged in one of the hard rocks, that's when the and there is water below the rocks, then the water just gushes out, and that's exactly what happened here in this incident. Is that right?
That's, that's right. That's right. Yeah. And for that, there should be very good supply from the upper catchment area. Water should be flowing down underground from the regionally upslope area, so that water comes and gets stored here. Okay, no further movement downstream or down the gradient. So the water gets stored here under pressure.
Yeah. So
So
there's a
here in Jaisalmer, initially, people thought it may be stored water, subterranean river Saraswati
yeah.
would be there below that point. That water might have sprung up. No, that is not the case. Actually, the remnant of the erstwhile so-called Saraswati river, presently Gagar, is a small river. So that is around 200 kilometers northeast of Jaisalmer, this Mohangarh village
Yeah.
where the borehole was dug.
Yeah. So
So,
yeah.
so the Saraswati angle is ruled out.
So is it ruled out because the 200-kilometer river is there? So that's the reason that it's ruled out? Like there's no link towards that?
No, in fact, has nothing to do with Saraswati. So, okay, if not Saraswati, some other tributary of Saraswati or some other river might be there below that. See, it's not one river that traverses a state like Rajasthan.
Yeah.
There could be several rivers under the sand layer, under the desert. But paleo channels of any river can carry some water. There will be some fossil water, what we call. But creating artesian conditions and then giving an outlet for that water to flow out, it's difficult to,
To be
you
linked with
know,
the Saraswati.
explain.
Oh,
Willing later to explain. Okay. My colleague, erstwhile colleague, Mr. A.K. Grover, worked on Saraswati in that area. He has mapped certain areas where erstwhile Saraswati was flowing. So he told me that this particular Mohangarh area has no link with Saraswati. Okay.
okay. Also, you had mentioned about the artisan condition. So, if we try to understand this in simple words, what does it mean? Is it the rocks, the two layers of two different rocks on top of each other, or does it mean something else?
See, rocks have different carrying capacity for water. Some are very hard and massive, compact. They can't carry any water. Some are porous, fractured, highly fractured. What we call porosity and permeability will be high in such rocks. Disturbed rocks, metamorphosed rocks, soft rocks, where certain soft minerals will be removed and there will be holes. more the fractures, more the permeability. So like that in highly sheared terrains, faulted terrains, or even folded terrains, and say where cracks are there. So water storage is more. Suppose it's a dolerite dike or a massive rock, the storage is zero, like that. It's like a comparison between a piece of wood. Okay, a piece of wood, although it is wood, it cannot absorb water, isn't it? It has dried up, it has given up water, and it further cannot absorb water. Whereas a piece of sponge
Well,
can hold water.
yeah.
Okay, it's also a solid material, but there will be a lot of pores inside. It can hold water. So, like that, some rocks have the capacity to hold water, spongy. So, they are called highly porous, high porosity or high permeability. And such rocks are good aquifers, what we call. Okay,
Okay.
so aquifers are sources of water for borehole points. So boreholes, if you put a borehole on a massive rock, we get zero water. Okay. Whereas on a good aquifer, on a soft porous rock, we get good water. So it varies from point to point. Some boreholes fail, some boreholes yield a lot of water. So things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Also, so when the water started gushing out, there was some inflammable gas that also came out. We can see it in the video that after some time the gas comes in. Is it harmful? What was that gas? If you could tell us about that also, like from where is that coming?
Details are not very clear. The borolitho log, what we call, what type of rocks it encountered and where it ended up is not clear. So details are not available. In the absence of the availability of details, so it's difficult to say anything about it. Gas could come out from these chemical salts also I mentioned, carbonate rocks.
Yeah.
If some carbonate limestones or carbonate rocks are there, they when they dissolve, CO2 can be released, carbon dioxide. So in such areas, some peat, what we call, coal is the best form. The incipient coal, what we call peat. Okay. So if it is there in some swampy areas before the sand layer was deposited, under some swampy conditions, if some vegetation was there, and that vegetation has become, say, peat, okay, decomposed and it has become peat, then it can also release methane like gases, and that could also find an outlet along with water gushing out. So that way, and that can also catch fire when it comes out. It
Oh.
can start burning when it comes in contact with oxygen. So methane, small quantity it has come. So or else at 700 feet we can't expect or we don't expect oil or natural gas, anything like that. We have to go to 3 kilometers depth normally for good sources of petroleum, oil and natural gas. So under Thar Desert, so far we have not come across any such
Yeah.
natural gas or oil. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that can be ruled out. And now we would have to wait for the report to see what does exactly that mean, and then it can be discussed further.
We have located deep halite and silvite beds under sand in Sri Ganganagar district, what we call evaporate series. Evaporates, as I told in the beginning, when an arm of the sea or a part of the sea dries up, evaporates due to any reason. So that leaves behind all the salts. Water, when it gets evaporated, whatever salts are there in it get deposited layer by layer. So such thick beds are there, hundreds of meters thick beds are there under sand. Yeah, we have drilled. A part of it is in Rajasthan, part of it is in Pakistan. It's called salt rain. Long hills are there made up of salt. Okay.
Oh, okay. And also, so we realized that after 2 days, the water also stopped completely on its own. Or so, how does the phenomenon occur? Like, so is why does it stop on its own, or was it stopped manually? And how did that happen?
That shows that water, whatever was there below under storage, under the aquifer conditions, under pressure was limited. So
Okay.
it is not connected to the regional water table. If in an extensive area water storage was there, the water would have flowed out for months together or continuously. So it's a small storage which has been punctured. That's what we can conclude. So it was not a extensive basin, what we call a sub
Hmm.
basin, underwater basin. So under pressure. So it was a limited one.
But
Okay.
can it start over again? Is it possible? Like in general, in these artisan wells, not only in this particular Jaisalmer, but in other regions where it sometimes happens, is it possible for artisan wells to be starting the leakage all over again?
If you, yeah, it's a good question. Whatever sand has gone inside when the water flow stopped, if that has blocked the way, then water cannot flow out so easily. But if it is an open hole still, after the next monsoon, when the water gets infiltrated in the surrounding area, in the upper catchment area, upper gradient area, water goes in, okay, and that can come to this point, get stored, and then start flowing out when sufficient storage is there. After the next monsoon, we can expect it.
So this
Okay.
might be a repetition, like it can happen on year basis, depending on the
Yeah.
place, of course.
So on the annual basis, once in a year, it can happen. Let us see after next monsoon, August, September, if it flows out once again, then we can say there is a possibility of annual recycling,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay. And can these be artificially created or artificially recharged for that matter? Like how you mentioned that if the water in the upper area is there and it's getting blocked in this one particular region, can it be artificially created?
Yes, nowadays we are doing rainwater harvesting method. We open pits in the upper area. Through such open pits, water can enter the subsurface and flow down to this accumulation point, and then sufficient storage could be there. Okay, retaining artificial condition, pressure, whether it's possible or not, I cannot say right now. But artificial recharge is possible in the upper catchment area.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So not everywhere, it depends on the area very specifically.
Yeah, it all depends on the geomorphology of that area, what kind of terrain it is, whether it's a level ground or undulatory ground or fractured ground with lot of valleys or hills like that. So it all depends on that geomorphology, what we call. Okay.
So geomorphology is basically the geology of the surrounding of the place, if you put it.
It is the surface variations,
Okay.
heights and lows and valleys and hills, like that. Geomorphology is the profile of the upper surface,
Okay.
where it's a plain ground or an undulatory ground, like that. Okay.
Also, is this water that come out, can it be used in any way? Like, is it resourceful?
That's what, if it is fresh water, yes, it can be used. Suppose it is saline water. Saline water possibility is any desert will have some remnant parts of the sea. Okay, now for example, you heard of Pulicat Lake, Chilka Lake. Okay, then near Jaipur there is another lake which is saline in nature. That was part of the sea once upon a time. So whether the sea evaporated or withdrew, retreated, whenever such things happen, certain depressions retain this seawater, saline water. Here, such a depression, if it was to be there, and the saline water is there, and we have punctured it, the rock evaporates. above that, a clay layer, say, a shale layer, then that could be saline water. That can be known after testing it in the laboratory,
Yeah.
salinity. Okay. So if it is saline water, then it becomes very interesting. So under that spot, Mohangarh village, a part of the old sea could be there. Okay. So old water, uh, part of the sea. Okay, that way. So we'll have to do some more studies before concluding anything like that. Because if a remnant sea is there below the
Hmm.
sand layer, then it will carry a lot of other things, a lot of old animals, dead or alive, okay,
Okay.
fossilized or whatever it is.
So
So
there
let
can
us
be
see.
scope of for more research and more resources below that ground. There could be chances that we find something more to discover.
Yes, if you can determine the quality of the water when it settles down, take a little bit of water and analyze and find out the saline content or any other content, dissolved material, then we can understand whether it's part of the underground water, groundwater, or saline water, or what exactly it was. Let us see. And that also tells us about the type of rock types in that area, minerals in that area. Okay, if we get traces of copper, lead, zinc, or gold, or uranium, or any dissolved materials, say tin, tungsten, if nearby any such source is there, there are definitely there will be some traces in the
Yeah.
water that comes. So we can analyze for all such possibilities.
Right. I
Okay.
think that's what the lab test is meant for right now. They've sent it to the lab, the water and the stones, something around those lines. So also,
So
so yeah,
this report has come so far.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
still there. Also, the water that came out, would it be causing any difficulty in the surrounding area because that was blocked for some time, or prohibitory orders were put in? So does it change the, because it was a field where this was being dug, does it change anything there because such an amount of water from deep earth came up? So is there, does the water get contaminated nearby for a while?
Say water that has come out can soak the seeds already present in the sand, small seeds. They can germinate, they can become plants. If any big seeds are there, they can also germinate and come out, try to grow as plants. But for big trees, continuous water is required. So if this water stands there for a longer time, then plants and trees can grow. And if the water stands there, okay, becomes standstill, let's say, then small animals like fish or frog or crabs and such small animals can also grow. So yeah, it all depends on the type of
Water and the,
storage.
so
Yeah, on the surface. Okay.
also,
Okay.
yeah, in this, we have seen that these things have occurred in areas of Jammu and Kashmir, in Rajasthan, like you had mentioned about Bikaner and these places, even in Kerala and Assam, we had seen. So, is there a particular geological condition that makes it occur, or is this just what you had explained about the rocks, or two different types of rocks being there?
So you see, when two different types of rocks here, they are at an angle to each other.
Hmm.
There could be 10 layers of rocks. If they are one above the other, parallel to each other, horizontal or even vertical, okay, they cannot create artesian conditions. Horizontal rocks, if an impervious layer is there above and there is a pervious layer below, which can store water, there could be artesian condition. Suppose there is a horizontal rock type against an inclined rock type. Okay, inclined rock type acts as a barrier. Okay, so it doesn't allow water to rise upwards. There's a barrier. So that time, if we make a hole in the inclined rock layer, then water gushes out. So it
Okay.
all depends on what type of rocks are there in a particular area, what is the disposition, what is the quality. So like that, metamorphism rocks, igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, intrusive rocks. So they all play a major role. Intrusive rocks are like walls inside. There could be vertical walls or horizontal walls, angular walls. It all depends on the type of uh, what we call hypoabyssal activity. Okay, well, these are called hypoabyssal rocks, downright dikes and gabbro dikes, intersecting dikes. So many things. The geological conditions vary from place to place. We'll have to understand the surface geology. With that, we can understand the subsurface geology. So, and we have to give some margin for the unknown factors
Yeah.
in the third dimension. So we'll have to decipher things. Okay.
Also,
Yeah.
lastly, are these artisan wells like in, is it sustainable, or would it be the over extraction of this, would it be a concern? What is it? Or is this just a normal phenomena that occurs and it's okay?
Say artificial conditions are not there everywhere. At a few places they are there. If we can puncture it, yes, no doubt we'll get very high uh, outflow of water and pressure. But gradually that will also come down. Whatever is stored inside, that gets exhausted over 15 days or 1 month. It will come down. Unless there's a continuous recharge in the upper area, water cannot flow underground in the groundwater. So instead, if you want to look for perennial source, continuous source, so there is nothing like a continuous source for water in any area, in any city. More we draw from the bank account, very little will be left afterwards.
Yeah.
Is like a bank account. Groundwater is like a bank account. When we go on withdrawing without depositing, then very little will be left. Suppose there are no rains for 5, 6 years,
Hmm.
monsoon fails, but we go on withdrawing the groundwater already there. Naturally, depletion will be there. So that way.
So, in the long run, can we say that it does become a concern? Because already in India, we see water shortage happening. That's a common thing that's happening all over the in the world also, for a matter. And when such incidents happen, and if we keep taking water from the underground sources more and more, it's going to have an environmental concern at the end of the day.
See, already some impairment is there because of three crop pattern everywhere. See, earlier it was one crop pattern, monsoon dependent agriculture in India. But this borole culture has given three crops culture. Every farmer likes to grow three crops, get profits quickly. So we are pumping out more and more water from the even from the river beds. Apart from the canal fed what I call irrigation fed agriculture,
Yeah.
we are relying more on boreholes everywhere.
Yeah.
And now domestic boreholes in the towns and
Cities is formed.
cities, industrial pumping out of water, and many hotels, star hotels are sucking water from the groundwater. So, and then floriculture nowadays, almost around all cities, there is this new fashion of floriculture, decorative flowers,
Yeah.
red rose and such decorative ones, which cost 30 to 40 rupees a flower. And export business, that is also sucking a lot of water from the borehole, this groundwater system. So like that changed our lifestyle or utility is posing problem. And every monsoon is not a bounty.
Hmm. Yeah.
Monsoon is variable. One season it is excess, another season it is deficit. So
Yeah.
like that, we'll have to be very cautious in using the, bank deposit that is there below groundwater. That should be used wisely. But nowadays there is an excessive pumping out of groundwater. As a result, we are facing problem. For example, in Bangalore last summer, 24,
Yeah.
It
It
was a
was
dry
very
summer.
bad.
There
Yeah.
was a severe, acute shortage of
Yeah.
water, and the people have drawn more water. And the next month, monsoon 24, at times it was heavy, but heavy rains will not help in infiltration. Surface runoff is more. So as a result of which only little water has gone inside. So it is not matching with the withdrawal. So we are going to face problem in February, March, April if we depend only on the groundwater. One silver line is KRS is full. It is going to be
That's good.
handy
Yeah.
for Bangalore. But how many areas are Kaveri water supplied areas? There are many areas without Kaveri pipeline. So there they have to supply by water tankers. So it is going to be some problem in March, April, May also. So let us see. Okay.
Just a last question. So like you met because you've studied Bangalore's or Karnataka's geology in depth. Uh, can artisan walls occur here also? Is there a possibility? Like especially because we have been digging deeper bore wells again and again every year, every summer, especially. Are there chances that such things happen in the city as well here?
In cities, Bangalore and Mysore, these are crystalline areas, hard rock areas. But in northern Karnataka part where sedimentary rocks are there, and also central Karnataka, Chitradurga, such areas where metavolcanic and metasedimentary rocks are there at an angle to the horizontal, there some possibilities are there, artesian boreholes. But how long they can supply? Instead, I suggest to go for mapping, river basins with more and more details of sub basins and micro basins. So more and more micro basins having storage of water untapped. So then it can be tapped. That can be tapped. There are still many virgin areas, mountainous areas, okay, away from the settlements,
Yeah.
forested areas where groundwater is not fully tapped. So that can be used in case of emergency, famines. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, sir. It was a very insightful interview for us.
Thank you.